it is fun.
Welcome to another episode of the Wisco Fanatic Show, where we cover the Packers, Bucks, Brewers, and Badgers basketball and football teams from an optimistic and realistic perspective.
Righty, welcome back to another Wisco Fanatics Wednesday. Today, we're excited, and we have some stuff to talk about. So, first and foremost, we do have to talk about the Milwaukee Bucks because they are still going. So we're looking at this, and Jake and I are looking at it, and Jake said to me that he's thinking about the Milwaukee Bucks kind of similarly to how we felt about Badger football towards the end of the year, where we don't want to just go into the offseason stuff and be like, what do they need to do in the offseason while they're still playing games? So what we've done is we've looked at it, and we're just looking to see, did anything happen that matters? And essentially kind of how we did Badgers football, we're going to kind of abbreviate some of our Bucks coverage. So we're going to hit some 90-second recaps, and we're just going to blow through these and discuss the things that matter. Doesn't really pay to hype on Doc Rivers because that's a conversation for the offseason. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't pay to worry about points off turnovers and second chance points, like things that we know need to be fixed when there's 7 games left. So we're going to hit some 90-second recaps and talk about anything that does matter, and then we're going to move on. All right, Jake. So starting with Bucks and Blazers, 90 seconds. Did anything happen that matters?
Yeah, I think the main two things, I guess, that I'll talk about is Rollins got downhill. He scored in a lot of ways, scored 36 of the Bucks' 99 points. So that's something that needs to happen. He needs to shoot the ball a lot. You need to force him into situations so he can get more comfortable. And they got Jang 17 shot attempts. So that's something that also needs to happen. They've continued to get Jericho Sims shots near the rim. And Gary Trent Jr. was pretty bad in this game. The Blazers had 7 players scoring double figures. That's the things that I got. That's literally all I got for this game.
All righty. I'll see if I can fit mine in the rest of the 90 seconds. I did put that the offense did look decent in the first quarter after Portland got off to a 10-0 start, especially with the amount of ball pressure that the Trailblazers were putting on the Bucks, knowing that the Bucks were thin at ball handling. So no Giannis, no Kuzma, no Kevin Porter Jr., pretty much leaves Ryan Rollins, Ousmane Dieng, and Ajax, who got a lot of time in this game, to be your primary ball handlers. The Bucks, I do think, did a good job playing off screens, especially Ousmane Dieng and Ryan Rollins, who you mentioned, had a career-high 36 points. 17 of them came in the third quarter after having a rough second quarter. But in the third quarter, he was 7 of 11 from the field, 3 of 5 from the three-point line. Finished 6 of 12 from the three-point line. If you take out the second quarter, he was 6 of 10 for the game. So he finished with 36, 4 and 4. The 5 turnovers is a little rough. So, I mean, there's that aspect of it. But Ousmane Dieng, like you said, him getting 17 shot attempts is good. Obviously, scoring 16 points on 17 shot attempts isn't great, so the efficiency isn't there. But I think he did a good job navigating screens, finding open space to get himself good mid-range shots. That is the kind of thing that matters, I think, going forward.
Yes.
And then after this game, Doc Rivers did make a statement that he doubts that Kevin Porter Jr. will play again this season. So that's pretty much where we're at with the Blazers. So we're going to hit another 90. Okay, another 90 seconds, Bucks and Spurs.
Yeah, so in this game, the Spurs won 127-95. They clinched a 2 seed as the Bucks were being eliminated from the playoffs. The rebounding was much closer in this game than it was against the Trailblazers. The total turnovers was pretty much the same story. Bucks had 22 assists to 19 turnovers. That's not a good ratio. The Spurs had 35 assists to 11 turnovers. That's a really, really good ratio. We also lost the points in the paint, 58-28. So we got absolutely pounded in the paint. You can mention all the people that we have out, and yes, it's true. Want to give a shout out to Jericho Sims. He's playing hard. Another double-double for him, 10 and 10. Rollins took a step back, and good bounce-back game for Gary Trent Jr., going 8 for 11 and 18 points after having an 0 for stinker against the Trailblazers. Also, got to continue to shout out Pete Nance and his energy. I love this guy's energy. If this guy doesn't have a roster spot next year, I'm going to riot. I swear to God, dude. I've become such a fan of this guy over the last couple of weeks. But other than that, really nothing to write home about. Same thing against the Trailblazers. 7 players for the Spurs scored double figures. and the Bucks, they got more balanced scoring, but they did not shoot efficiently from the field. So that was really the story of this game.
Yeah, so for me, looking at it, Miles Turner played good defense. That's going to be a big piece of my offseason discussion on what the Bucks need to change. And it's not going to be to trade Miles Turner. It's going to be to change how they use him. So more conversation coming on that in the offseason. But he had a steal and 2 blocks. You mentioned Pete Nance. He got to play 30 minutes in a start. He had 5 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. That's not what I would expect him if he was like playing rotational minutes like next season. Like you mentioned, I would expect him to be probably closer to that 10 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists mark. That's why I think he can fill into Bobby Portis's role. Andre Jackson Jr. made 3 out of his 7 threes, which is cool. I would love if I could trust that was going to continue going forward. It's been 2 years plus this season, so it's been basically 3 years, and it's just not consistently that Ajax is making his threes, even the wide open ones. So it's still like maybe there's somebody who has an idea of how they could use him in the offseason, that Ajax could be included in some sort of trade, but I just don't quite think he fits with the Bucks playing against somebody like alongside somebody like Giannis, who is so ball dominant and is looking to drive and kick. And the last note that I had is Ousmane Dieng is a real future piece. If you look at the box score, you see 12 points on 14 shots isn't great, but he kind of got forced into Kyle Kuzma's role, and I don't think he's super comfortable handling the ball that much. He did have the 4 turnovers, but he also had 6 rebounds and 5 assists. And then he's a good and willing defender. That is something that I want for this team going forward. He had 4 steals, and he led the team with 10 contested shots. Miles Turner was second with 9, and Pete Nance was third with 8. So I'm very, very pleased with what I'm seeing from Ousmane Dieng, and I'm ready to hit another 90-second recap with the Clippers. All right, Jake, what happened in the Clippers game on Sunday?
Yeah, first and foremost, got to give a shout-out to Taurean Prince. I almost said Tayshaun again. Got to give a shout-out to Taurean Prince. He played really well outside of his 5 turnovers. Also, another guy that shot the ball well, Gary Trent Jr., 36 points, 9 of 15 from deep. He also had 5 turnovers. There was 6 players on the Bucks that had at least 2 turnovers, so that's not a pretty sight. The ball movement, I got to say, they at least tried to move the ball a little bit better in this game. You could tell by scoring 113 points compared to 90s. They shot the ball a little bit better. Pete Nance didn't have his shot down. That happens sometimes. Dieng is just such a unique piece. They say a diamond in the rough, man. There's so much rough to get through to get to the diamond, but I feel like if there is a franchise that's going to do it, they did it with Giannis, and I think maybe they can strike gold twice with Dieng. I'm not saying that Dieng's going to turn into a 2-time MVP or anything like that, but if there is a franchise that could rip that out and has the ability to have patience, something that you've talked about before, to pull that out of Dieng, I would love to see it. Also, shout out to Cormac Ryan, scoring 13 points, shooting 5 3-pointers, hitting 3 of them. So that's pretty awesome. Happy for him. We get to talk about pretty much the same thing in the next game that happened last night. But, yeah, really nothing to write home about. The assisted turnovers, points off turnovers is pretty much the same as every other game.
Yeah. I wish that was better. I also wish that Gary Trent Jr. was playing like this all season. For him to score 11 straight points at one point, making 3 threes, one of them coming off a steal in the backcourt. Like, if he was playing like that all season, I feel like the Bucks would be in a better position. Yeah, especially early in the season. Yeah. He tied his career high with 9 made threes. He only really got one chance to try to break it, but he finished with a season high 36 points. He had 4 assists and 2 steals. Yeah. Andre Jackson Jr., he does still have some occasional flashes in his speed plays. As a ball handler, he's okay. He can play defense. He had 2 steals in this game, but he needs to be crisper with his passes. He is way too nonchalant, like just trying to flick the ball or, like underhand toss it to guys. He's got to be way more resolved with his passes. And I don't really trust his shooting. So I mean, if you're gonna stick him out there, you might as well be thinking about sticking him out there at point guard. is kind of where I'm at with Ajax. You mentioned Taurean Prince. He was playing well. He was actually doing really good in the second quarter, making good passes, playing good defense. He finished with 18 points off the bench, 6 rebounds, and tied his career high with 8 assists. So fantastic game for Taurean Prince. You mentioned Jericho Sims. He is a weapon on the offensive glass. And you also mentioned Cormac Ryan playing really well. He held his own on defense. He didn't back down from John Collins, which was great to see. He's a guy I feel like could be another potential future AJ Green. I'm coming almost the exact same career path right now. So going to keep an eye on Cormac Ryan going forward. Other than that, the last thing that I was going to mention was AJ Green. For as much as people don't think he's got like a major role on the team, obviously he started a handful of games this season, but AJ Green guarded Kawhi Leonard a lot on Sunday, which was interesting. And like, I don't think he got like dominated or anything. Like Kawhi didn't take him to school or, take him up behind the barn and just dominate him or anything like that. Like I think AJ Green did a decent job holding his own versus a guy who's 3-4 inches taller than him. And obviously a significantly better basketball player. I think AJ Green actually did a pretty decent job on Kawhi.
Yeah, he wears glove size 7 times bigger than AJ Green.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he wears like a 7X glove just so the fingers are long enough.
All right, dude, what the hell?
All right, let's go into last night's game, Bucks and Mavericks. Okay, so we got some guys back for this one. Kuzma was back, so that was good to see. All right, Bucks and Mavericks, what did you take away from last night's game?
Yeah, so when the Bucks are hitting 3-pointers, and obviously you're going to be like, oh, yeah, they're making 3-pointers, they're going to score a lot more points. But the ball movement is what matters in this one. They had 28 assists. They kept the turnovers down a little bit in this one, took better care of the ball. They matched them at fast break points. The Mavericks are also terrible this year like the Bucks are. So this was a matchup of who could be less shitty, in my opinion. The Bucks made 41 shots, 20 of them from the three-point line. They also made 21 free throws. So you're making 20 free throws, 20 3-pointers. You get your largest lead was 31 points. So the Bucks were playing good basketball last night. Ryan Rollins, 24, 7 and 9, 8 of 14 from the field. He did a fantastic job. Kuzma also had a really, really good game, getting downhill, being physical. He was 9 for 17 and 0 for 6 from 3. So that means he was 9 of 11 from the 2-point area. So he was dominating, getting downhill, like I said. Got to give a shout out to Alex Antetokounmpo. Scored his first points as a member of the Milwaukee Bucks. We have like 2 more brothers to go through. One doesn't even play basketball, but we might as well just sign Kostas and have him score for the Bucks so we can get all the brothers in on the record books of scoring from Milwaukee. Huh? What do you say?
I mean, sign him to a 2-way deal. See what happens.
Might as well, dude.
I mean, at least then you can have 2 of them playing together in the NBA and 2 of them playing together for the Herd.
Hey, shit.
You mentioned Ryan Rollins. It's a big deal for me for him to have gotten better at mid-range shooting over the course of the season. That is something that when we talk about Ryan Rollins being potentially most improved, that is something that has noticeably improved. He had the 9 assists, only 3 turnovers, so that was good. And then him playing in rhythm, he took a step-back 3 over a taller defender, something that I've been very critical of during points of the season, but it wasn't when he did it last night. It wasn't like as highly contested because he did it so well in rhythm that it created a lot of separation. So he basically drove from the top down to the elbow and then stepped back to the wing and was pretty well wide open. And that's the kind of shot that I would like to see him take because he did it in rhythm. Like there's so much to go with basketball being a rhythm sport. Seeing him shooting in rhythm was great. Kyle Kuzma was giving the Mavericks for a little bit the business. He crossed up Cooper Flag at one point, which was fun to see. He scored 20 points. Ousmane Dieng had a double-double. He had 16 points and 10 rebounds off the bench to go with 5 assists and only 1 turnover, and then a steal and a block. You mentioned the ball movement being good. 28 assists on 41 made field goals is fantastic. Pete Nance had 11 points in 15 minutes, so that's good efficiency there. And then 69 rebounds. Damn. I mean, again, you brought up the Mavericks are bad, but the Bucks had 7 guys with 6+ rebounds, which I think is just another thing that would have made the Bucks better this season if they had that consistent rebounding.
Yep.
All righty. So looking at what's next for the Bucks, they play tonight against Houston. They play Friday against the Celtics. They play Sunday against the Grizzlies, and then they play next Tuesday against the Nets. I think it is 7 games left, including tonight, right?
Yes.
Okay. So 7 games left. We're going to have 4 of them next week. We'll have 3 the following week. We're just going to continue looking for anything that matters. It doesn't pay for us to sit here and spend 15 minutes per game and spending a bunch of time saying fire Doc Rivers. Like, it's not happening before the end of the season, so it doesn't pay to spend a lot of energy on it. The Bucks are going to make some changes in the offseason. So with the last 7 games, let's just enjoy the last bit of basketball season, even though the results don't matter, whether it's win or loss. Doesn't matter. Let's just enjoy watching basketball for a couple more weeks, and then we'll focus on what needs to change in the offseason.
Yeah, so we're not just saying this stuff because we're mailing it in. We are planning to have some bigger episodes in the offseason to really break down what the Bucks need to do. We've done that the last couple of years, and now that we're back to our old formation, just Tyler and myself, we're gonna really kick some shit into gear here. We're gonna break a lot of stuff down. I'm very excited to get into the first Brewers games of the season. We'll have to plan some stuff for Badgers football coming up here pretty soon. We got Packers content coming out for you guys on Tuesday. So we're grinding over here. We're trying. We're going to plan a lot of good stuff for the Bucks. We're going to talk about coaching candidates, the draft. That is probably one of the most important things that you should be watching for, is making sure that we're keeping ourselves in position right behind the Pelicans so we can keep our first round pick. No swaps. I mean, we're get a first round pick, but I would like a high one is what I'm trying to say. But we're not just mailing it in. We're not doing this for no reason. We have reason behind why we're doing this. So just stick with us, and we're going to transition into some baseball now. So let's get it.
Alrighty, so welcome to baseball season, which feels great. Being in a spot where, it was a long time, it felt like, but it also felt like we just watched the unfortunate Dodgers series. And I remember talking right after the Brewers beat the Cubs in Game 5, and we're feeling like we did after Game 7 against Bucks and Nets. And, we're getting into a situation like that. And now all of a sudden it's Game 1 and the Brewers are back. And we have Game 1. Right before Game 1 starts, we find out that Jackson Chourio is going to miss 2 to 4 weeks with a fractured hand, something that happened all the way back at the beginning of March from the World Baseball Classic. And it was re-aggravated on a check swing in the exhibition games right before the season started against the Reds. So no Jackson Chourio going into the first series against the White Sox, but let's go to White Sox Game 1. What did you take away from opening day last Thursday?
With baseball, it feels like so much optimism comes back because we get more sunlight, we get more warm weather. It just brings that positivity out of everybody, which is why so many people look forward to it, right? So right after the March Madness, and March Madness is still going on, I would love for the Badgers to make another deep run here in another couple of years. It's a conversation for another day. But right after that, you leak right into opening day. And for the Brewers to win opening day 14-2, after everything that's happened, by the way, if you haven't, you could still go back and listen to our primer. We talked about a lot of good stuff. You could hold us accountable for things that we've said. I know something that I've said. Tyler's going to give me credit for it because he told me. It's just a really good time to be alive, honestly. And Mizorowski on the bump gives you 5 innings, 2 hits, an earned run. Scoring in the first inning is apparently the only time that the opponents are allowed to score against the Brewers. Sure fucking seems like it after this week. He had 3 walks and 11 strikeouts. So 11 strikeouts, just filthy stuff. 94 pitches. They seem to be okay with him in that 90 to 96 pitch range, which is okay with me too. The bullpen was awesome. I mean, Jake Woodford gave up 1 earned run in his debut with the team, but he also got 3 strikeouts. What's going on there, Lucifer? How we doing, Lucifer? 3 strikeouts for DL Hall, a strikeout for Anderson, 2 strikeouts for Ashby. You add all that together, that's 20 Ks. Set a new franchise and Major League Baseball record. Also have something to say. I was talking at work. I was all excited. I was like, oh, yeah, baseball's back. I'm talking to all the coworkers. Who you got for the first home run of the year? Who you got for first home run of the year? I'm asking everybody. Hearing a bunch of Tarangs, Contreras, the normals, Yelly, No, you cannot. Then on top of that, if you had Sal Frelick as the first homer of the year, first of all, you're a goddamn liar. You're a goddamn liar. Also, I need to know the lottery numbers, okay? Those are the two things that I come away walking away from. 7 players got RBIs for the Brewers. The offense was super impressive. 12 hits, 10 walks, 14 RBIs. 9 of the 14 RBIs came with 2 outs.
Oh, good call.
Fantastic stuff.
Good
2
call
home runs. And, oh, my God, this was my favorite part of opening day, dude. I don't know if you saw this, but the Brewers radio had one of the best digs I think I've ever heard in my entire life, dude. They were doing a commercial for the underwear for people, the older people who have can't hold pee. They were doing a commercial for that, and they leaked right into the Chicago White Sox having control issues on the mound, dude. I was like, oh top tier, dude. Top tier to go from shitting your pants to shitting on the baseball mound. Just a really good dig on a Chicago team. But, yeah, the Brewers' offense was humming. This team looked exactly like the team that we had last year. Everybody taking long at-bats. The bullpen was locked down. Mizorowski looks like he's taking a step up in maturity. This is all just from opening day. I'm taking that away. So what a fantastic opening day, and way to bring optimism back to the state after a week earlier what happened to us.
Yeah, it's crazy that in a 14-run game that almost all of my notes are centered around the pitching.
Yeah.
So the 14 runs is a new franchise opening day record. Sal's home run was 407 feet, 106.7 off the bat. So not a cheap home run at all.
No.
The Brewers tacked on a bunch of runs in the 6th inning, tacked on another 3 more runs after Jake Bauers from the school of Prince Fielder hitting home runs 65 miles high that clear the fence by about a foot. He had 2 of those this week, which we'll talk about the other one when we get that far. But to me, it really was the pitching that stood out. So Jacob Mizorowski getting tons of swing and misses, especially with his fastball at the top of the zone. He had 24-pitch first inning, a 21-pitch second inning, but 5 out of the 6 outs that he recorded were strikeouts. He had 10 strikeouts through 4 innings. And then the 10 strikeouts that he had broke Freddie Peralta's record from 2025 of 8 strikeouts on opening day. He finished with 11 strikeouts in 5 innings pitched, only gave up 1 earned run, which came on the first batter. And then had 3 walks, 2 hits, 94 pitches, the exact same number that he threw today, 57 strikes. He absolutely dominated the top of the strike zone. He got 25 swing and misses from the Chicago White Sox. That is the White Sox. That is the 3rd most since pitch tracking started in 2008. Only Freddie Peralta and Corbin Burns have had more, as far as Brewers history goes.
Those are good names to be by. So
right, exactly. If you want to put yourself into Brewers history right away, like looking out and putting yourself alongside Freddie Peralta and Corbin Burns and Brandon Woodruff and Giovanni Gallardo, like putting yourself in names and conversations with those guys, like Ben Sheets. Like we mentioned that Mizorowski was the 3rd youngest starter on opening day in Brewers history. Go Sports, go Jacob Mizorowski. He is the youngest player since 1901 to have 11 strikeouts and 2 hits or less. So that's awesome. 9 out of his 11 strikeouts came on his fastball. 8 of those 9 were at the top of the zone.
Yeah.
In his fastball, he wasn't even throwing on 101, 102. He was throwing it like 98. And it's got to just look like it's going to go right down the middle of the strike zone and then just go right over your bat. It's got to be like just maddening. And then the fact that you get less than the amount of time it takes you to blink to think about if you're going to swing at it or not.
And then you got to try to get on top of it. Like, really?
His fastball, he threw it 64.9% of the time. He threw his slider 17% of the time, his curveball 15%, and he only threw his new changeup 3% of the time. So only mixed in a couple of those, but out of his whiffs, 19 out of the 25 were from his fastball.
I like that.
DL Hall and Woodford struck out the sides in the 8th and 9th innings. Ashby added 2 more strikeouts. You mentioned the 20 strikeouts being a franchise and major league record. That's fantastic. As far as offense goes, every starter got on base. The Brewers drew 10 walks, like you said, and only struck out 3 times.
Yeah.
Walks to 3 strikeouts is fantastic. I'm super happy about that. I'm going to be happy anytime the Brewers are under like 8 or 9 strikeouts. So 3 is just fantastic. They actually had more extra base hits than strikeouts. You're going to win pretty much every single baseball game you play if you have more extra base hits than strikeouts.
Yeah.
I mean, when we get to today's game from the Brewers and Rays, the 3rd game of that series, I mean, it's wondrous what just putting the ball in play can do for you.
Seriously.
And the last thing that I had from opening day is David Hamilton had a pretty good debut. I loved his approach at the plate. He made a bare hand play on defense. I am super excited for David Hamilton. Even more excited than I was when the trade happened. And I kind of looked at some of the minor league stats, and I think that there's some potential there. But let's go to Brewers White Sox game 2. And the Brewers won that one 6-1. So, Jake, what's out to you from Brewers White Sox game 2?
Yeah, Chad Patrick on the bump. It gives you 4 1/3, 5 hits, earned run, walk, and 4 Ks. And you're just like, ho hum, dude. That's just what the Brewer starters do, man. They keep you in ball games. They normally don't lose too much control and give you free base pads. The Brewers' defense is just elite. So as long as the pitcher is not just giving up a bunch of walks, the Brewers aren't going to have a ton of errors. And then they just put so many people on base that there's no wonder why the Brewers won 97 games. Seriously, there's no wonder in my mind why they won. Just the form of baseball that they play is just they play the right way. And we talked about it on our primer about how most of the roster is coming back this year from last year's team. So obviously that mentality is going to be there, but the hunger is deeper now is the word I'm going to use. There's more hunger now. And some of these guys are really coming into their own. I mean, we talk about Sal Frelick hitting a home run on opening day. On this day, they didn't have to have a home run to win. But Yelly, Lockridge, Ortiz, Mitchell, that's just 4 people. And 3 of those guys are not, like, I would say, like, mainstays on this roster. I mean, Lockridge, really? Lockridge is a bench player. He's a good young player. I like Lockridge. Ortiz, lots of question marks about that guy coming into the season. He was locked in the first 2 days. You get Garrett Mitchell. Garrett Mitchell's a guy that me and you have been big fans of. He's a guy that's had a ton of injuries. For him to continue to battle, to want to be a part of this roster, I mean, that just talks, first of all, about his character and his will to want to play. But he just adds a whole nother dynamic to this team that, honestly, they don't need. They don't need more speed and more defense. But, hey, we'll take it. I'm not going to say no. The bullpen, again, 0 earned runs. So they start the season with giving up 0 earned runs. They only gave up 2 hits and 3 walks. The bullpen had 7 of the 11 strikeouts. That was Ashby, who got recorded the win. He's 1-0 on the season at this point. Zerpa made his debut. Looked a little nervous, but he's all right. He'll be just fine. He does some nasty stuff, dude. So Contreras is going to do just fine with Zerpa. I promise you that.
I just want to jump in on Zerpa really quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because, like, he did allow the 2 hits. Nothing scored against him.
Yep.
But Sophia Minert reported during the game that Zerpa went to the World Baseball Classic and was pitching with Salvador Perez, who he pitched with in the Kansas City on the Kansas City Royals. And Zerpa had spent, a week with the Brewers, 2 weeks with the Brewers to that point after being traded. And Sophia was reporting that Salvador Perez could already tell that he was different since getting traded to the Brewers.
That's nuts.
It's like, and again, to Matt Arnold's point, like, if they had wanted Zerpa for years, he was a guy that they had wanted for a couple of years. That's what Matt Arnold said when they traded for him. But, like, you get a guy, and it's like, Matt Arnold's got to be like, hey, I'm talking to the Royals about Angel Zerpa, and they're like, all right. And Chris Hook and Jim Henderson just immediately go into the lab so that the time that the guy gets to the organization, they're already like, here, drink this. Yeah. And then he's all of a sudden he's got a new pitch, and 2 of his pitches are breaking more. They're using this one less. He's got like 3 more miles an hour on his fastball here. This one now breaks this way instead of that way, and it goes 17 inches over that way instead of 4 inches over that way. And then you put him back on the World Baseball Classic team with the guy that he played with last season. They're like, who the fuck is this guy? Welcome to the Brewers pitching lab.
Yeah, and, getting that nod from Perez, who's going to be a MLB Hall of Famer when he hangs it up.
Absolutely.
That's that speaks nothing but confidence. I mean,
in a matter of 2 weeks, dude.
I mean, we keep talking about the pitching lab, and those might be two guys that get into the Hall of Fame too. I mean, maybe they might get some consideration thinking about all the, reclamation projects that they've had to do in Milwaukee and just the brand of baseball that they play. A big part of it is the pitching lab. But Uribe, he had 2 strikeouts. DL Hall is an interesting piece. He could kind of, I'm going to say something crazy, I think. He could be like what Garrett Mitchell is X factor wise for the Brewers offense. DL Hall could be that X factor for the bullpen if you really think about it.
Don't hate that.
It's kind of a long shot. I knew it was going to be a little crazy, but I'm like, he could be the X factor. Think about if he starts just dotting corners, dude, with the stuff that he has too. I mean, he's not even looked at as one of the better pitchers on this roster, dude. He has nasty stuff, dude.
He's got versatility with it too, because obviously he's a starter and that's in the bullpen. So I mean, we'll talk about Brandon Sproat in a minute, but you get to a point where if you have somebody who's got a short start and you're like, shit, what do we do? We don't want to have this bullpen butterfly effect that affects us, when we're playing the Cubs next Monday. DL Hall, can you give us 3 innings?
And you know what? Maybe he gets to a point where he can handle that stuff. That's kind of what Ashby's role has been the last couple of years. But maybe you have 2 guys like that now. That would be fantastic for the Brewers. But I want to talk about, we talk about efficiency a lot more in a sport like basketball. But I want to talk about the Brewers' efficiency on the offensive end in this game specifically. 36 at-bats for the Brewers, 12 hits, and 5 walks. That means 17 out of 36 base runners got on base. That is 47%, dude. That, the pressure that they apply to you on both sides, on offense and defense, has just got to feel monumental. When you got a guy like Contreras who could be healthy and start hitting bombs, Terang has some crazy opposite field pop. I mean, the pressure they put on you. And then on top of that, they went 7 for 7 on steal attempts.
Yeah.
So Yelich got his first of the year, 1 for 1. Ortiz got his first 2 of the year, 2 for 2. Hamilton got 2 of his first 3, 2 for 2. Garrett Mitchell got his first 2 of the year, 2 for 2. So 7 for 7. They're super aggressive on the base paths. They find a way to get on base. The pitching is just elite. The defense, they don't make mistakes. The Brewers are just a wagon, dude. And the fact that people go out there and give you 83.5 as an over-under for wins is disrespectful.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
My God.
Stop putting the Reds in the same conversation.
Stop, man.
They have not earned to be put in the same conversation as the Brewers.
Stop, man. We're only on the second game, bro, but stop, man. Come on.
So as far as the stolen bases go, the Brewers stole 7, like you said. That's the 5th time in franchise history that they've stolen 7+ bases. The reporters for the Brewers are giving a lot of credit to the Brewers' new first base coach. And I think that there's something there, so I'm going to keep a pretty close eye on that because I've seen a couple reports about it already. What I want to say is I want to talk about Chad Patrick and the first 2 innings that he said with an at-bat chess match.
Okay. Hell yeah.
All right. So we got an at-bat chess match here. Now, first inning, Chad Patrick goes from a 3-0 to a 3-2, gets a ground out. Next at-bat gets a strikeout, then allows a single and a walk, and gets a pop-out to end the inning. He yanked a couple fastballs, I think, and he threw his slurve, which they're not calling it a sweeper anymore. They're just going back to calling it a slurve like they always used to. So, cool. Sweeper lasted, 3 years? We're back to calling them slurves. That's fine. Whatever. It looked great. Then you get to the second inning, and this is kind of where his command started to look much better. He had a 1-2-3 inning with 2 strikeouts. Now I want to flip to the first and second innings with the Brewers. Chad Patrick going from a kind of a iffy command in the first inning, much better in the second. Then you go to the Brewers. The Brewers saw 62 pitches in the first 2 innings of this game.
Dang.
Bryce Terang had another double to start the game. He is seeing the ball very, very well. He had 2 doubles in this game and actually hit a frozen rope liner to center, and almost had a third double on the left field line, and only had 1 strikeout in his first 10 plate appearances.
Mhm.
So Bryce Terang's seeing the ball very well. He got a double, got to third on a William Contreras ground out. Christian Yelich singled him in, like you mentioned. Got to third base on a Jake Bauers single, which allowed Jake Bauers to get to second base. Gary Mitchell had a single that plated 2 runs, spoiler alert. And then he stole second, like you said, with the stolen bases. 29 pitches they saw in the first inning. Second inning, we get Bryce Terang with a 2-0 bloop double on the left field line. William Contreras drew a walk. Christian Yelich had an infield single. The pitcher threw the ball at the first baseman's feet, and it bounced away, which allowed Bryce Terang to score, William Contreras to get to third base, and then Christian Yelich to steal second base. 33 pitches the Brewers saw in that second inning. You're talking 31 pitches an inning times a 9-inning game. You're talking 279 pitches in a game where 150-ish is probably about the average.
You heard Sal. Sal means what he says, okay?
Yeah. The drag him thing, which we'll talk about that when we get to game 3.
Yep.
I mean, being in a spot where you're looking at comparing things to averages and just seeing oh my God, the Brewers, they make opponents grind. And that's why Pat Murphy's talking about it. And I agree with him. I think the White Sox have some good pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
Like Shane Smith, who pitched on opening day, was a Rule 5 pick from the Brewers organization, ended up being an all-star last year, and is starting opening day for the White Sox. I think he's actually a really good pitcher. The Brewers knocked him out in the third inning?
Yeah.
I mean, the White Sox have good pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people are like, oh, it's just the White Sox. Pat Murphy's just saying that to be nice. I think they have good pitchers. The Brewers just make them go through what they call 27 outs of hell.
And the White Sox are going to be a lot better this year than they were in previous years.
Yeah, they're still. They're not going to be good, but
they're not going to make the playoffs.
They're going to be. They're kind of like how I view the Pirates.
Yeah, that's fair.
They're like the AL version of the Pirates.
That's fair.
Some good young players, some decent players. It's interesting. The Colson Montgomery is good. Munatanka is a monster.
Bro.
Obviously, we got to see that firsthand.
Bro. This guy hits news.
I'm actually going to say something about him later, too, when we have another conversation. But Garrett Mitchell was on base twice on opening day. Didn't have any hits, but you get to Saturday, he is on base 3 times, had 2 hits, 2 stolen bases in his first 2 games, also 3 walks and only 1 strikeout. So he got off to a good season start. Christian Yelich had 3 more base hits. He was race running pretty well, and the Brewers just did everything except hit a home run in this game.
Yep.
They drew 5 more walks. They stole 7 bases, which is where I'm going to give you credit. You talked about some of the guys that you wanted to see have better seasons, not being like, oh, well, I don't think that Sal Frelick needs to have a better season. He batted .288 last year. Mm-hmm. But you wanted to see him be more aggressive, specifically on the base paths. Mm-hmm. And I think just translating that to the rest of the team, the Brewers did that very well in this game. Obviously, stealing 7 bases is going to put you in a good position with guys on base.
Yeah.
They got 11 more strikeouts. They played good defense. Brandon Lockridge to Joey Ortiz got a relay at home plate to get a batter at the plate. They got a ground into double play to end the game from DL Hall. I mean, like I said, the Brewers just did everything. And then you get to Sunday, and they get off to kind of a rough start. And I want to talk about Brandon Sproat because we make a post that Brandon Sproat and Jefferson Carroll are making their debuts, and we're in the second inning, and people are commenting on it. They're like, oh, Sproat's garbage. Send him down. DFA him. Tell him to pack his bag. It's like, holy hell, people. Chill out. Do we not remember Aaron Ashby's debut? We should, because it was super fun. Not at the beginning when Ashby gave up 7 earned runs in his first start. But it was super fun beating the hell out of the Cubs and scoring 14 unanswered runs.
Yeah, that was a good time.
So, 2 things. 1, Brandon Sproat, his command was off from the get-go, which led to him trying to get too much of the plate, and he gave up several home runs because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Out of the 4 walks that he gave up, 3 out of the 4 scored, and he gave up all 7 of the earned runs. Mm-hmm. His command was off kind of on all of his pitches, which to me was maybe a nerves thing.
Yeah.
But again, I need to see probably at least 3 starts before I'm like, all right, maybe we need to swap them out.
Yeah.
2 at a very bare minimum, and still 3 is probably what I would want to see before I would swap him for Gosser or Henderson, 2 guys that got off to good debuts in AAA. So
I'm not trying to take over, but I agree. 3 is at least the minimum that you need to see. You can't just go, 1 and done. No, that's not how it works in sports. 3 is the minimum.
Similarly, even at 2. Even at 2, I would be like, there's only 2 starts.
Yeah.
I mean, guys traditionally make about 30 to 35 starts a year if you're healthy the entire season and you're pitching every 5 days.
Yep.
So I'm not panicking on Sproat whatsoever. As far as the rest of the pitching staff goes, it was a great day for the bullpen. It was good to see Jared Koenig pitch well. I was a little concerned about the way that he looked in spring. I think Woodford actually has some plus pitches. He gave 2 pretty important innings for this game. Yeah. And Grant Anderson also gave 2 important bridge innings. Yeah. Trevor Gill got his first save. He had 2 strikeouts. I mean, just a really, really great bullpen day. And the other funny part about this game for me is starting lineup gets posted and everybody just immediately just straight to bitching. Oh, well, if we wanted to forfeit today, we should have just not showed up. Oh, this lineup is great. Oh, yeah, we're just phoning it in today. Oh, there's a Sunday lineup if I've ever seen one. It's like, can you not just use some context clues that there's a lefty starting? Yeah. And that's why Lockridge is in. That's why Gary Sanchez is starting. That's why Rengifo is starting. Like, this shouldn't be something that has to be explained to people. I mean, like Blake Perkins too, being in the lineup, like these things shouldn't have to be explained why there's so many righties in the lineup. You should be able to see oh, there's a lot of righties in the lineup. There must be a lefty starting. Then you go and you open up the app on your phone and you see the probable starters and you see that the little bat throw thing is L/L. Oh, that's why there's so many righties in the lineup. It doesn't mean that those guys are playing the entire game, and it doesn't mean you're not going to see any of the left-handers pitch hit. Spoiler alert. One of the lefties pinch hit, and it was important. That's it.
Dude, I have to stop you because I just thought of the greatest idea. I know what's going to get us rich now. I just thought of it as you were making your rant, bro. We are going to write a sports comprehension book.
Ooh, I like it.
Sports comprehension. All the chapters are for each sport. I wrote it down. I highlighted that motherfucker, dude. That is our ticket. That's our ticket right there, dude.
Love it.
We can add numbers in there, get real nerdy. Bro, that's a dope idea.
Do you want some numbers? I got some numbers for you because every starter in the lineup that people bitched about got on base at least once.
Yep.
Luis Rengifo, Gary Sanchez, Brandon Lockridge, and Blake Perkins all got on base twice.
Wow.
Those are the main people that people were bitching about.
Wow.
All on base twice. Rengifo also had 2 hard-hit liners to the second baseman before the clutch hit that he had. So he was hitting the ball hard before he even got to the bat that made a big difference in this game.
Yeah, he was getting screwed early.
It's much different when we get to game 1 against the Rays because that's just more of the same thing.
Yeah.
And then we get to Christian Yelich, and seeing Christian Yelich get his first pinch hit home run in his career. He had 36 pinch hit at-bats before that. I went and looked. And 2 things that stood out to me after the game from conversations. Firstly, I'm going to say to Christian Yelich, for him being asked about what the moment was all about and stuff like that, what he does is he turns around and he gives credit to the guys that got on base before him. He spends 0 time talking about himself and gives credit to the guys getting on base before him to give him that opportunity to hit that 3-run home run to give the Brewers the lead.
Yep.
So I love that from Christian Yelich. That's a great way to have the guys in the locker room be like, damn, that guy's a leader. And then the other thing is Tim Dillard saying after the game, the Brewers had a lot of traffic, and all that traffic helped score the 3 runs before Christian Yelich's home run. And, I mean, I've had it written down on a piece of paper right here next to my desk for 2 years how much we talk about stacking traffic.
Yep.
And, putting the ball in play, just getting on base, speed, putting pressure on teams, forcing errors. It's not luck. It's pressure. I said it last year. It's not lucky that the Brewers have speed on their team and they steal bases or they beat out infield hits or they make outfielders or fielders, not outfielders, infielders, rush throws and commit errors. That's not luck. That's pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So stacking traffic helped the Brewers end up getting a 9-7 win. So what stood out to you from the rubber match on Sunday where the Brewers completed the sweep?
Yeah, so it feels good for a Wisconsin team to sweep a Chicago team. Got to say that first and foremost.
Always.
Another day, another 12 strikeouts for the bullpen. They had 20 on opening day, 11 on Friday, Saturday. Yeah, my days got all messed up.
I hate that off day right after opening day. It's so dumb.
It's silly to me. But then another double-digit strikeout day for the Brewers as a team, and I believe it was Sproat. I believe that Murphy pulled to the side and said, "Let's pitch for the name on the front, not the name on the back." And that's something that when you really take a step back and you allow yourself to just live in the moment, right? Like I do this a lot when I'm watching sports, because sports are supposed to be an escape from everything else that's happening around you. The world stops for 3 hours or 2 hours and whatever minutes that the game goes on, and I just focus on just sports, and I just live in that world for a few hours. And when you take a step back and you think about how important that is and how they play as a team and how close these guys are, I mean, these guys got to be best friends. They're going to be best friends for the next 6 months. They're gonna wake up in the morning and see each other in the morning, eat breakfast together, eat dinner together, road trip together. I mean, these guys are literally like best friends for 6 months. And to have a leader like Pat Murphy, and I really wanted to talk about this when you talk about Yelly. I mean, just having that throughout be the consistent thing that rings true is something that's just so special to me. And I think it makes people in Wisconsin, because of the way that we are and the way that we work and the things that we deal with. I think that's what makes the Brewers so special to us, is because of the way they play, right? And I'm not trying to get too sentimental here, but it's incredible stuff to really watch, honestly. 8 of the 9 runs that the Brewers scored, again, were with 2 outs. The only one that wasn't with 2 outs was Bryce Terang. He had a RBI, his first of the year, with 1 out. Sanchez hit a rocket to left to answer in the bottom of the first. That was a missile, dude. Like, that one was coming in hot. If that would have hit a fan, like, you would have had to have the glove up in defense, because that was ripped. And I got to talk about 2 things. One, I want to talk about the bullpen total versus the White Sox in this series. 13.2 innings pitched, 7 hits, 1 earned run, 6 walks, and 25 strikeouts.
Damn.
Nasty stuff. The last thing I want to talk about, you mentioned Yelly's homer, where he comes in deep right. What a call! First of all, great call on the television cast. Yelly made sure that the Pope had a horrible Sunday, dude. And that just makes me so happy. Hell yeah, Yelly.
And knowing immediately that it was gone, and the bat drop was tough, and seeing Sal Frelick like damn near trying to run the bases with him.
Yeah.
If you see it's not the drone, but like the deep up super high from the seats view of it, you can see Sal Frelick like running up pretty much right next to Christian Yelich, because he's on deck, and yelling drag him at Christian Yelich. And like the Brewers, the mentality that they have with the drag him thing, which is something that's going to catch on real quick with the Brewers, I think, is that the mentality when the Brewers go up to bat in a sport where trying to hit a baseball that is this big with a stick while the person is throwing the baseball at you either at 90 to 100 miles an hour with no movement, or 85 to 95 miles an hour, and it can go 16 to 18 inches this way, and it goes 12 to 20 inches this way. It's the hardest thing to do in sports. It's not close. Hitting a baseball is easily the hardest thing to do in sports. And the Brewers hitters doing the hardest thing in sports are going up to the plate and saying, this is going to suck for you. Dude. Pat Murphy, back-to-back manager of the year. There it is.
Dude. Our manager has pancakes in his pocket, and our guys are talking about messing with the pitcher on the mound, dude. Like, what is going on right now?
for that to be the mentality, it's just like
It is.
I can't love that approach more from the Brewers hitters going to the plate.
Fucking A, dude.
All right, let's go to the Rays series. The only loss that we have to talk about in this series is Game 1 against the Rays from Monday. What stood out to you from Monday's game?
Yeah, I want to talk about Harrison's debut with the Brewers.
Yeah.
I thought he did a really, really nice job hammering the zone.
Mm-hmm.
The strike zone was his friend, and he did pretty much the opposite of what Sproat did. Sproat was kind of all over the place. He was either too far outside of the zone or he's catching too much of the plate. And Harrison did a really nice job living on the edge, man. 4 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 8 Ks. I don't want to steal your line, so I want to give you full credit, but you called him Vegetarian Miz, which was just – I was like, yo, that's tough. That's so sick. It's a great one-liner. The Brewers pitching continued well. Ashby 2 innings, gave up the 1 earned run. Just really good piece of hitting by the Rays, to be honest with you. That was not a bad pitch that he gave up the run on.
Yeah.
Zerpa had a really nice second outing for the Brewers, and McGill just the fastball wasn't high enough, in my opinion.
2-0 walks. They bite.
Yeah, and then the fastball wasn't high enough. So 14 Ks for the Brewers in this one. So ho-hum, another double-digit strikeout day for the Brewers pitching staff.
Yeah.
They're in another world, on another planet right now with the amount of punch-out shit that they have. Adding a guy like Zerpa should have been illegal, honestly. Like, that's not fair. The Brewers only had 5 at-bats and runners in scoring position. Really sucks because they were, like you said earlier, they were hitting the ball hard. And anyway, the Rays, to their credit, they were making the outs that they had to make. It is what it is. I mean, we're going to go to today's game, and they weren't, so it paid off later on. But I just want to talk about one more thing. William Contreras, he got a hold of a baseball, and the baseball didn't like it. The baseball had to go bye-bye. That was fun. Tied the game up for the Brewers. William Contreras, he's one of those guys that we were talking about when we were talking on the primer, talking about, are you worried about the Brewers offense? No, because we have the best offensive catcher in baseball. People can make a case. They could have made a case for Cal Raleigh, but I'm just saying the way the year has started.
I would hear a case for Will Smith also, but
that's fair. But Will Smith is on a loaded roster, and Cal Raleigh doesn't even know if – I don't know if that guy can hit a grapefruit throwing down the middle of the strike zone right now, but it is what it is. He started off bad. He was like 1 for 15 or something. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing about this, and it's a little bit of a kick in the pants from the baseball gods, is that the Brewers had 10 hard hit balls. They hit the ball hard a lot. They had 2 hits to show for those 10 hard hits.
Ugh.
That's the baseball gods kicking you in the pants. That's a bummer.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, like, Bill Schroeder actually said it on, I think it was last night's broadcast, that exit velocity is overrated. Yeah, it's cool when it results in hits and home runs and stuff, but you know, we use it once in a while also to show when guys are seeing the ball well, because when you're hitting the ball hard, it generally means good things, but it doesn't always mean good things.
Yeah,
it means you're seeing the ball well, but it doesn't guarantee that you're going to win ball games. So hitting the ball well or hitting the ball hard, it does generally result in more hits and stuff like that because, you know, balls find holes better. They find the gap better. I mean, it's generally better, but it's not always better, and that's kind of how Monday felt.
Yep.
Brought up Kyle Harrison. I'm glad you said it. He absolutely, like you said, pounded the strike zone with all of his pitches, especially the fastball, the changeup, and the slurve that he has. For me, looking and watching Kyle Harrison, the arm angle that he throws with as a lefty, and when you compound it with the fact that he stands like as far on the first base side of the pitching rubber that he can, like that, if you're standing in the left-handed batter's box, it's got to look like the ball is coming from behind you.
Yeah.
Like that's got to be like just a nightmare as a left-handed hitter to see a guy pitching from that angle. Like it's not quite as low as Josh Hader. Like Hader was more sidearm. But it's absolutely not an over-the-top left-handed pitch.
I'm sorry, you just brought up how they compared his fastball to Josh Hader's. I forgot about that. I see the comparison too. That's a good comparison.
It's not like Josh Hader could throw 97, like Kyle Harrison's throwing like 94. But that arm angle and then like the angle of the pitch is coming at. It's not like the pitch is coming at you like this. It's not coming straight at you. It's coming at you at like this.
Yeah.
Like that's got to mess with your timing. It's got to mess with your perception. So that deceptiveness, it makes his stuff play better. So like Mizorowski on opening day, he gave up a solo and then locked in. I think Kyle Harrison actually got better every inning. Mm-hmm. He finished his debut by retiring the final 10 batters that he faced, 5 of them being strikeouts. He had 8 total strikeouts in 5 innings pitched, and that's where I called him vegetarian Mizorowski, just because he doesn't have quite the, the flash, the meat and potatoes, the super flashy, the big juicy steak that Mizorowski's got that he can throw in the low hundreds, and then a slider at 96, which literally nobody else in baseball does.
Yeah.
Harrison's got the deceptive arm angle and pitching lefty from the left-hand side of the rubber. Now, the rest of the team, the Brewers, they were hitting the ball hard, nothing to show for it. Ashby's fastball command was a little off. He got to a 3-0 count, then got to a 3-1 count and gave up a solo shot. His off-speed stuff did look pretty sharp, so I'm not at all worried about Aaron Ashby just because his fastball is off for one day. After the solo shot, he had 3 straight strikeouts on a changeup, a slider, and a curveball. And the final 2 out of those 3 strikeouts came on 3 pitches. Mm-hmm. So he locked right in after giving up that solo shot. And then, like I said, the 2-0 walk bit Trevor McGill. It is what it is. It's just kind of one of those things that happens.
Yeah.
So can't win them all. They weren't going 162-0, and now mathematically they can't. So let's just move on and let's get to last night's game against the Rays. What did you take away from Game 2?
Yeah, so if you looked at the box score of this one, you'd be like, oh, they won 6-2, pretty comfortable win. That's not at all what it was. McClanahan looked really good for the Rays. He looked like a guy that looked like he didn't miss a year of baseball, honestly, in my opinion, for the first couple innings.
Like 2 years of baseball.
Yeah, 2 years.
It was a long time. I think they said like 1,000 days.
Yeah, that's
wild. Crazy. That's almost 3 full years.
That's insane. But the Brewers didn't have a hit for a couple innings, 4 innings, I believe it was. Woody was also very good. He gave up a few solo shots, but he kept the Brewers in it, and that's something that Brandon Woodruff does.
Yep.
And Woodruff is so close. I was telling one of my coworkers, I'm about to tell you a stat that I sent to Tyler that I found from Adam McKelvey. Woody is this close to being underrated. He's this close. I think people, there's going to be like, just like any other sport, there's going to be like people who watch the sport, understand the sport, and then there's going to be people that are like casuals that are going to be like, oh, dang, I forgot about that guy because he gets injured before the playoffs every year. Trust me, we know it hurts us. But the stat that I found from Adam McKelvey today was Brandon Woodruff is 15-1 with a 2.20 ERA over his last 25 starts at home, and the Brewers are 22-3 in those games. Oh my God, that is nasty, nasty stuff. 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 6 Ks. 8 strikeouts for the pitching staff in total. This is the first and only game this year that they've been under double-digit strikeouts. So 8 strikeouts. Ooh, so bad. Koenig was good. Anderson was good. Uribe. Little hairy. He escaped the bases loaded, but he got the job done. That's all I care about. It was a little hairy, but he got it done. Zerpa comes in. He cleans it up. But we got to talk about how the Brewers scored, right? Bryce Terang came through. Sanchez, he came through with the bases loaded. Sanchez with a walk. Bowers fly out to third and Lockridge single. Ortiz walked. And then, you get Bryce Terang. There was an error that happened. So, like I said, that good defense that the Rays were playing in the first game of this series came back tenfold to us. They were just like, yes, take these wins. We do not want them right now.
Both games.
Sanchez added a home run in the bottom of the 6th to give us a little bit of insurance. Lockridge had an RBI in the bottom of the 6th as well. And then Bowers had another moonshot home run that barely scraped over the wall last night, but he hit it plenty high.
It hit the moon on the way up, but still made it over the fence.
I think his goal is to try to hit the roof. I think that's what his goal is. He's getting closer and closer every day, but he hit another insurance home run for the Brewers last night. The Brewers continue to play dominant defense and have good pitching. 2 earned runs from your starting pitcher and then 0 from the bullpen again. It's just I cannot tell you how good this bullpen's been, man. And they, who is it that's like dominating right now? Is it Miami?
I think so.
They have like 3 earned runs the whole year so far. I think. Which is, if that's the only other team that's better than us,
it's so dumb because the Marlins could be good if they wanted to. They just don't want to be good.
Yeah, I know. They're weird.
Everything that people think Mark Atanasio is with spending money, that's who the Marlins are.
And the Pirates.
Well, yeah, but like
they have players.
Marlins, like they've had so many good players go through their organization.
Yeah.
Traded for peanuts, like.
Yeah, that's fair.
The Pirates are just bad. The Marlins are bad because they don't want to be good.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
So we get to Woodruff's first start this year. Murphy talked about it before today's game that Brandon Woodruff's his resolve that if he was going to be pitching, he wanted it to be in the bigs. He didn't want to make a start for Nashville and then come up. He said if he was going to be pitching in a game, like an actual game, he wanted it to be for the Brewers.
Yeah.
And Murphy said with him being who he is, obviously a veteran guy, and being through what he's been through, obviously with the injuries, but also like he's got plenty of playoff experience.
Oh yeah,
and obviously a lot of regular season under his belt. Murphy said that stuff did make a difference in him being in the starting rotation for opening week. He pitched decent, I think. He had 5 innings pitched, 2 earned runs on the solos that made the 3rd game out of 5 so far that the Brewers gave up a home run in the first inning. On solo shots, and then 4 out of 5 with just home runs total, which is just ridiculous. But it is what it is. I do think his command was good. If you look at his baseball savant page, there's some like white spots in the center of the zone, which to me shows that he was doing a good job working on the edges. With that, only 67 pitches through 5 innings. I did think he was going to get the 6th inning after having a pretty quick 5th. But I get taking him out a little bit early, especially when like the main focus with Brandon Woodruff isn't going to be how many games he pitches in the regular season. It's going to be, will he be pitching in the postseason?
Yeah, let's get him to that point.
So I'd rather be treating 75 like the 90 pitch mark for Brandon Woodruff than to get 2 extra starts out of him in the regular season and then not have him for the playoffs.
100%.
But the offense did get him a W in the bottom of the 5th with the offense like you were talking about, with Gary Sanchez drawing a walk, getting a 1-out single, a 2-out walk, and then Bryce Terang with a bases loaded single. And Bryce Terang does a really smart thing on the bases where he was trying to stay in the rundown long enough for the run to score from third to give the Brewers a 3rd run in that position. And the run was about to score. Jory Ortiz was taking off. Terang was trying to do 2 things. One, he was trying to draw an interference. Like he had kind of had his arm out as he was sliding, hoping that if he made contact that maybe he'd get an interference call, which wasn't the case. But the ball did pop out of Cedric Mullins' glove as the tag was being applied. And that was a great challenge by Pat Murphy to challenge that. And Terang ended up safe at second, and the Brewers did get another run out of that. Because there was no transfer, because that would have been the 3rd out. So there was no transfer needing to be made, and he wasn't trying to get the ball out of his glove with his hand. It just popped out on the tag. So great challenge by Pat Murphy. The second challenge that Pat Murphy had to make is ridiculous that this is happening in a Major League Baseball game. If you have a cell phone and any social media network, you have probably seen C.B. Buckner making one of the dumbest fucking calls in a Major League Baseball game that you've ever seen.
Yeah, dude, that was fucking bad, dude. Holy
like
shit.
Jake Bauers just hits a line drive at the second baseman. It gets knocked down and thrown towards the Brewers dugout, and it's an error. And Bauers turns. He doesn't turn towards second base. All of a sudden, he gets tagged, and C.B. Buckner's standing there like this with his hand in a fist. And he's like, and Bauers is looking at him like, what? Thinking that C.B. Buckner maybe thought that he turned towards second or something like that, because obviously Bauers knew he stepped on the base. And then they're like, the Milwaukee is challenging the out call of the runner not touching first base. And then even Levering is like, that's a horrible call. And Bill Schroeder's like, he's not even looking at the bag.
He wasn't, dude. That's so bad.
He's watching the ball fly by over here. And Bauers is stepping on home plate down here. How are you making that call?
Golly.
How are you going to sit and make a call on something you're not looking at? you would have gotten way less flack if he had actually not stepped on the bag and you let it go and him be safe.
At that
you were
point,
staring at the ball to say he didn't.
At that point, he has to take accountability and be like, go to like his other umpire, like, I didn't see it. Did he step on the bag? And then have somebody else who maybe saw it be like, yeah, he stepped on the bag. And then we just call the play. But that would take him putting his pride to the side and being like, I didn't see it. I was watching the ball. Okay, people make mistakes. I'm not going to get mad at you. But the fact that he called him out, are you fucking kidding me, bro? Holy shit.
It's one of the dumbest things I have ever seen.
Dude, he's in the middle of the base, dude.
Dude, you imagine if it was 10 years ago and there weren't challenges available?
Oh. Wow.
Dude.
The Detroit Tigers,
like I said, it would be worse. It was worse that he called him out while not looking at it than if Bowers had like taken a step over the bag and nobody noticed, and then people are like, oh, he missed that one. Because people can at least then reconcile that and be like, well, if he stepped on the ball was an error, he would have been safe anyways. Like something like that, where it's like it's not as big of a deal. Like he was obviously going to be safe because the throw was nowhere close. Not something like where he, oh my God, like you can clearly see that he obviously stepped on the base. You're not looking at the base and then making a call on something you can't see. Like, oh my God, dude. Like it's insane to me that
you know what
had to be challenged.
The funniest part is I forget his name, but the manager for the Rays is just smirking, looking over at Murphy.
Yeah, they're pointing and laughing at each other.
They started laughing with each other, like, yeah, I'm dealing with it too.
Oh my God, like the enemy of the enemy is my friend. Like, damn, dude. Like you have opponents in a professional sports league laughing with each other at how bad officiating is.
In the middle of trying to win a game.
In the middle of trying
to win a game. That's just insane.
Oh my God. It's so wild that was a reality. The Brewers offense won the game by scoring 6 runs in 2 different ways. In the bottom of the 5th, they did a lot of stacking traffic, and then 2 of the 3 insurance runs came off of solo home runs. So the Brewers, they can score many different ways with many different players. So that's great to see. And that is where we get to with today. So the Brewers, they scored 8 runs, and only 2 of them came on a home run.
Yep.
So let's talk about today. What stood out to you from today's game, Brewers and Rays game 3?
Yeah, Mizorowski started this game, and he was just locked in, dude. He was. That was probably. I don't want to say that. That's hyperbole. But he was really good. Still gave us 6 innings. Had a situation where he was in the top of the second, and he was trying to get the final out. 100-mile-an-hour fastball off the bat hits Buckner right in the middle of the face, and it's like, don't fucking call somebody out when they touch the middle of the base. Now, all seriousness, I hope that he's okay. I don't want anybody to be hurt.
Right.
It is just sports, but I was joking around with my coworkers today, like, hey, maybe it'll fix his eyes. Maybe he'll call the correct calls now. So it is what it is. Miz struggled for a little bit there with his command, had a walk,
gave up 4 or 5 batters.
Yeah, give up a single. Blanking on his name. Who hit the home run today for the Rays? Diaz.
Marcus.
It was Diaz, right?
That was I thought it was Diaz yesterday. Today I thought it was it Fortes?
Oh, it might have been. Well, anyways, no, I think it was Diaz. You can double check me. But anyways, that guy is a hitter. That guy.
Oh, it was Diaz today. Maybe I'm thinking of yesterday that it was Fortes.
Yeah, it was Fortes yesterday. But Diaz, that guy is a professional hitter.
Yep.
And the Rays are a little bit of a scrappy team. They probably won't be in the playoff race, but that'll be a guy to watch towards the trade deadline.
Sure.
That needs offense. He'll definitely be up on the list for some people. That guy, he got on top of was it a fastball at like 99? That's what he hit out. And I was like, yeah, if you can hit that, dude, you're hitting anything. Honest to God. You're hitting anything if you can get on top of 99 at the top of the zone. But the Brewers offense picked up Miz. Miz did just fine. 2 earned runs, 2 walks in 6 innings. That's a quality start. First year for the Brewers. Anderson was really good. Ashby gave up a walk, but he locked in like he usually does. And D.L. Hall gave up a hit, but had 3 strikeouts, 11 strikeouts for the team. Another double-digit day. A couple things I want to talk about here. First of all, Brewers, 5 for now runners in scoring position. They've been elite so far to start this year, runners in scoring position. Bryce Terang's home run answered a 2-run homer that happened in the top of that inning. So for him to have the opposite field pop like he does, this guy is just a superstar waiting to happen, and it's going to happen at any moment right in front of our eyes, and it's beautiful to see. Want to talk about the bullpen, and I want to talk about 6th inning since I heard this stat during the game. Also, I will not be taking any more Bill Schroeder slander. If I see any more, I've seen a couple people complain about him last year. If I see any Bill Schroeder slander, you're getting slapped via me. Got it? No more of that. Tyler and I were talking last night. We're talking about when Jim and John used to call Bucks games. Oh my God. That's when everything went wrong when they left. Everything went wrong when they left. Honestly, it feels like that. I know it's not true, but it feels
Throw
like
Ted Davis in there too.
Yeah. For real. Euchre, obviously, RIP, my guy. We've had a lot of legends around here. So I'm not taking any Bill Schroeder slander. Understood? Understood. Good. 6th inning or later, he gave us this nugget today. The Brewers have scored 25 runs. I think it was 20. It's up to 26 because when he said the stat, we didn't score another run yet. They've only given up 3. 26
Damn.
in the 6th inning or later. That is the 4th best all time through the first 6 games in Major League Baseball history. They are plus 28 in run differential. That is currently the best in Major League Baseball right now. And they're 15 for 16 on stolen bases this year. That is phenomenal stuff. Now, I want to talk about the bullpen. I'm going to talk about them versus the Rays and then their year-to-date so far because they've been fantastic and they need to be talked about. They need the love. They deserve it. Versus the Rays, they had 11 innings pitched, gave up 7 hits, 4 walks, 2 earned runs, and 12 strikeouts. Year-to-date, filthy stuff, by the way. 25 2/3 innings pitched, 14 hits, 10 walks, 3 earned runs, 37 strikeouts, dude. Holy shit, dude. 37 Ks in 25 innings, dude.
37 strikeouts in 25 innings is ridiculous, dude.
That is uncalled for, disrespect, but I love it.
Dude, that's like 1.5 strikeouts per inning.
Yeah, dude, that's fucking sick.
Wow.
And then you got the defense that the Brewers have, the late game offense that they have.
Wow.
Keep the wagon, seriously.
I have more late game offense stats too.
Hell yeah, dude. Let's get into it.
So for me, looking at Mizorowski, he came in, his slider was nasty early.
Mm-hmm.
He had the 2-batter hiccup after the delay. He got a ground out to get out of it. And I'm like, okay, he's good now. We're going to be right back to normal. Then in the 3rd inning, he had the hit by pitch and the home run. And then he locked back in to retire 9 of the final 11 that he faced, including 7 in a row. Mm-hmm. Just like you said, the whole hum, 6 innings, 2 earned runs, 4 hits, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. Like that's where we're at. Like,
yep.
Obviously the Brewers traded Freddie Peralta and Mizorowski's just like, no, I got you.
Yeah.
And we'll just have some other young phenom type pitcher come up and take my spot.
Yep.
And the Brewers knew that. Matt Arnold knows that. Chris
Yep.
Hook, Jim Henderson, and Pat Murphy, they know that. Like Kyle Harrison made a great debut. They had 2 guys make their Brewers debuts last week. One of them did well. One of them did bad. Now you're going to see if that continues.
Yep.
Just like we're not going to crown Kyle Harrison the next Jacob Mizorowski, even though he pitched like him in his first start. We're also not going to throw Brandon Sproat under the bus and be like, this guy sucks, get him out of here.
Mm-hmm.
That's 2 sides of the same coin.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob Mizorowski threw 94 pitches again. 62 of them were strikes. He got strikeouts with 4 different pitches. Of his 94 pitches, 81 were either his fastball or his slider. He is literally an ace with 2 pitches. He can just go in. He's so good that he can win with 2 pitches while he's working on 2 other pitches. He's just like, okay, so I can win with these 2. And in the middle of me beating a professional baseball team in a regular season game, I'm also going to mix in this curveball and changeup that I'm working on. Like he's literally just exhibition gaming in the middle of a regular season game and being like, yes, I'm also good enough to beat you with 2 pitches.
That's nasty.
That's so dumb. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's nasty.
Imagine, dude, just like the Brewers need to extend him like today. Because just imagine when he's dominating with his curveball and his changeup, and you're not just up there with like it's Abner Uribe. He's Abner Uribe, but a starter.
Yeah.
He's got 2 pitches. And you have to try to guess which one he's going to throw, and good luck if you guess wrong because you're not going to come anywhere near the baseball.
No, you're not.
Because the Rays only swung the bat 45 times out of the 94 pitches that Mizorowski threw. So they were clearly trying to be patient. He did have fewer whiffs. He didn't have as many whiffs in this game because, like I said, the Rays were trying to be patient. And it's that's basically where you're at. You're guessing or you're hoping.
Yep.
Those are the two things. You're hoping that he doesn't hit the strike zone, or you're guessing which pitch that he's going to hit the strike zone with.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Dude.
And then the team on the other side is going up, and they're like, I'm going to drag your pitcher through hell.
Yep.
And the other team is going up guessing or hoping.
Man.
Welcome to Tampa Bay Rays on Wednesday.
Seriously, dude.
And then they had all the errors. Mizorowski after an awkward delay, but other than that, Bryce Terang had himself an inning. In the top of the bottom of the third, he hit the 2-run home run to tie the game. And then in the top of the fourth, he makes a diving stop in between first and second base, like shaded towards the middle, towards second base, dives back towards the right field hole, and gets Chandler Simpson at second base. That needs to be talked about as more than just the great play of him diving and then being seated and throwing the ball to second base to get the lead runner out. That's Chandler Simpson. The stuff that Elly De La Cruz does on the bases, Chandler Simpson can do on the bases. He's that good of a base runner. He's that fast.
He's fast as shit, dude.
He literally might be the fastest player in Major League Baseball. So it's not just a 4-6 put out at second base. You're also removing Chandler Simpson from the bases. That needs to be like some extra emphasis. So here I am giving that emphasis.
In a 2-2 ball game.
Absolutely. Exactly. So getting Chandler Simpson off the bases was important in that situation. You brought up Grant Anderson and Aaron Ashby, two quiet and important bridge innings, faced the minimum. You mentioned that Ashby did have the walk, but he did get a ground into double play to end the inning. So it took them just 15 and 9 pitches, 24 pitches total to get through 6 batters. So good job there. 8th inning. You talked about the 6th inning or later. I want to talk about just the 8th inning.
Yeah.
Since Sunday, they have scored 13 runs in 4 games in the 8th inning alone. You might not see 13 runs scored in a series against the Brewers this year. The Rays didn't do it. The Rays scored 3-2-2. They scored 7 runs total. The Brewers have scored more than 13. They've scored 13 in just a couple days since then. They scored 6 on Sunday. They had 2 singles to score the first 3. Then Christian Yelich hit the pinch hit home run. On Tuesday, they scored 1 on the Jake Bauers moonshot home run. And then today, they scored 6 more runs with no homers. That is stacking traffic. That is putting the ball in play. That is Bryce Terang's speed forcing Junior Camanero's 3rd error of the day because he dropped the ball because the play is rushed because Bryce Terang is the one busting it down the line on a bunt trying to move Joey Ortiz over to second base.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, you're in a position where everybody's safe. Then there's another single. Then there's another single. Then there's another single. Then there's a walk. Then there's a double. Then there's a single. And all of a sudden, it's 8-2 in 7 batters. That sucks.
That sucks, dude.
It's not like you go like single, double, walk, and then Aaron Judge comes up and hits a grand slam. You're like, fuck, like we just had 4 guys and there's 4 runs. It's the conga line from the Looney Tunes skit against Bugs Bunny. It's everybody's getting on base and just hitting the ball hard.
Yep.
Or trying to hit it soft and then being like, I'm fast as fuck, boy, and making the other team make mistakes.
Yep.
So it's, again, 83 and a half wins for the Brewers. It's like, do you not watch them play?
Seriously.
People got to see the Brewers on their schedule and be like, fuck, I don't want to play the Brewers. They're annoying as shit.
I wouldn't want to play the Brewers if you just used your bullpen in the previous series a lot.
Valid.
We're about to fuck you up bad, dude.
So the last thing is we get to DL Hall. Kind of a weak hit by pitch. It actually had to be reviewed. But from there, he went strikeout, single, strikeout, strikeout. The first strikeout that he had came on 5 pitches. 4 of the pitches were changeups. The second strikeout came on 4 pitches. He threw 2 changeups in that at bat. And then his 5th strikeout came on a 4-seam fastball. He went changeup, sinker, 4-seamer. So he threw 19 pitches total to get 3 strikeouts. 16 of his pitches that he threw were either the changeup or the sinker. So I don't necessarily want to give up on DL Hall being a starter yet, but I do think if they go the Aaron Ashby route with him, I think he's going to be just fine. I still think he's going to be a good piece to have gotten back in return for the 1 year of Corbin Burns that the Orioles got.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Brewers will have 2 series again between now and next Wednesday. They have 3 against the Royals, 3 against the Red Sox. All 6 of them are on the road. The other 2 things that happened is the Brewers brought in Luis Matos from the Giants. In my mind, he's just basically depth, organizational depth, since the Brewers brought up Perkins due to Churio and Baду being on the injured list. Mm-hmm. So they just brought in another infielder that they'll be able to DFA and then see if they can keep him at AAA after he clears waivers. Then the other thing is Cooper Pratt. So we want to talk about the Cooper Pratt extension. Jake, I don't know if you have any thoughts on it with a new deal worth up to 8 years, $50 million. The last 2 years of it are for $15 million club options, meaning it's essentially a 6-year, $30 million deal with 2 $15 million club options attached to it. I don't know if there's anybody else that you're like, okay, let's see if we can do a deal like that with them. But I was pretty surprised to see the Brewers extending Cooper Pratt because we were kind of wondering if he was going to be maybe an odd man out with how quickly Jesus body is rising.
Well, I'll say this. In 6 more years, with the way that, people are getting paid right now, in 6 more years, if he keeps going on the trajectory that he's going, and he's a starting shortstop, $15 million is going to be a fucking bargain for a starting shortstop, dude. So what a great deal from Matt Arnold. Just locking up your depth, making sure that you stay in a position of power when it comes to these trades. You're going to lock up one of these guys. Okay, so he's not getting traded. He's off the board. Now you got to reassess some of your pieces. But the way that the Brewers have to do things, I love the move. I don't question anything that they do ever, to be completely honest with you. They've earned that right that you have to at least wait and see what happens before you comment on it.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
The Braves did it a little bit with like some of their more prominent trade pieces that they acquired, and they were obviously major league guys. The Brewers are just trying to get ahead of it a little bit by having guys that they know are going to be in the bigs, which to me, this deal signifies that Cooper Pratt's probably going to debut this year. Like if this deal starts, right away, that they're not going to be paying him $5 million to play in AAA if Joey Ortiz is batting .230.
Yeah, that's the other angle I didn't even think about. That puts a lot of pressure on Joey to hit the ball.
It really does. So looking at that, it's interesting there. For him to be making even just $5 million over the next 6 years.
Yeah.
Like you just said, shortstops. Even if he doesn't debut until next year. Like 5 years at $5 million a year for a guy, even if he hits 260, he's an elite defender.
Yeah.
He's an elite defender. So there's that baseline already. Mm-hmm. And I know people are complaining, oh my God, he only batted like 239 in AA. AA is a notoriously famous pitchers level of baseball.
Yep.
Like there's not a lot of guys that are like super successful at the plate in AA. There's a lot more pitchers that are successful in AA.
Just Jackson.
So I'm not at all worried about that.
Yeah.
And then the other question I saw somebody asked was, why not spend that money in free agency? Somebody sees 8 years, $50 million, and like, oh, why didn't you spend $50 million in free agency? I'm just going to pretend that it's a casual question and look at it as somebody asking the question honestly and not from the look at it as he was cheap, whiny way. So I'm going to assume that somebody's asking this question honestly. And the first thing is I would weigh bringing in an outside guy versus keeping a guy that you've had in your system. Like, you know what you have versus a what might you get situation. 2, on the system, you have guys in your system that you've spent years of drafts, international signings, and trades building a number 1 farm system. Wouldn't you like to keep as many of those pieces as possible? This is why I've been saying over the last, I would say like probably 15 or so months that I believe that the Brewers are kind of trying to set themselves up to be a dynasty post 2027.
honestly, that's where my mind went. Was people always complain about how we develop all these people and then we don't keep them, we don't sign them, we don't keep them around. Well, this is one way to assure that we can keep them around for a while, keep them into their prime at least, or a little bit past their prime. So that's why when I saw it, I was just like, all right, I'm in, dude. They paid him a lot of money to get him to skip college, to come right to us, right out of high school. They're going to make sure that investment is paid forward. They've developed him into a professional baseball player, and I agree with you. He probably does make his debut this year if Joey struggles.
Yeah. So the way I looked at this, the last thing that I will say is you look at a 21-year-old for 6 years, $5 million, and 2 years for $15 million after that, $15 million each, is essentially where you're at, and that's not even accurate because it would be more like 5 years for 4 or 6 years for $20 million, not 30. So let's just say they keep one of his options, and you're talking about 35-40 million. I went even farther and said, let's say 45 million. Let's say they pick up one of the 2-year options and you look at $45 million. $45 million this past offseason in free agency would have gotten you a 35-year-old JTL Realmuto for 3 years, 35-year-old Robert Suarez for 3 years, 2 years of 37-year-old Merrill Kelly for $40 million. And then you just look at the rest of free agency, it's just full of old guys. The only player that I could see spending that money on is Munetaka Murakami from the White Sox, who got a 2-year, $34 million deal coming from Japan. That is really the only guy that was available in free agency that I would rather have than 6 years guaranteed of Cooper Pratt.
Yep, agreed.
So that's that. And that's even if you wanted one of those other guys, you have to also then get them away from their current team that they've been on for how many years, or teams that they're familiar with.
Yeah, like Suarez is familiar with the
Suarez and Realmuto and Merrill Kelly, who's been with the Diamondbacks for a while. Like,
yeah,
you know, it's not like the Brewers could just go and grab Kyle Schwarber for the money that they just spent on Cooper Pratt.
I mean, that would be nice. I like Kyle Schwarber. He is bomb.
And if you were going to give Kyle Schwarber $45 million, you're getting him for a year.
Yep.
You're getting Cooper Pratt for potentially 6 to 8.
Yeah, 8 years potentially. Yeah. So I'm good.
I'm good too. So that's us. We'll be back next Wednesday. We'll also be back next Tuesday for the next part of our draft series. It's going to be the offensive line, which is not a sexy one to do, but it's a necessary one. So we'll be back next Tuesday with the offensive line. And then we'll be back next Wednesday with our 4 Bucks games. It'll probably be some more 90-second recaps. And then we'll flesh out the Brewer games that we have next week, 6 more baseball games. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next Wednesday.